You're brilliant.
Shut the hell up.
He.
We're not going there. We're not going there.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not. We're
yes,
not going
we
there.
are.
No,
yes,
we aren't. No, we aren't.
Oh my God, this is so
No, we
funny.
aren't.
We're sitting here talking, and someone forgot to unmute the mic.
I told you to unmute the mic. Why didn't you do it?
I'm not in control of this, dude. Don't even try that.
You are right here with me.
Don't blame Whitey.
I'm blaming you.
Don't blame Whitey.
I'm blaming you. You were the one that I said unmute the mic, please.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Oh, I'm gonna.
Could you put the gaslight out, please?
Yeah, exactly. Could you put the gaslight out, please? Fuck you.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay.
Okay, so we gotta start.
So let's rewind.
Yeah, you know,
because the wife.
You know what?
Because the wife did the thing.
You know what's funny
what?
Is Ranting Feminist did a video, and the first 5 minutes and 30 seconds were just dead air because she did the same thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, next rely on you to do it. Thank you.
At least we didn't do like Kevin and do a whole hour with no audio.
Is that right?
Kevin did a whole like reading of War Corpse's book with no audio.
To no one. Oh my God, that's horrible.
So
did he reread it?
Yeah, he read it.
Oh, that's gotta suck so bad.
He was so angry.
That's like cutting off all your fingers instead of just 5 of them. Okay, so
all right, so let's
start.
Yes.
Right. So I've got to do the shilling.
He has the notes.
I have notes and everything. Shut up. This is how I went through college. All right, so this live stream is not safe for work.
And by the way, Rod Line, in that silence, I did address your antifa
thing.
We'll
talk in a minute. We'll do it in a minute. We'll get
back to that after.
We'll do it again.
There's plenty to talk about.
So yes, this live stream is not safe for work. Right?
No.
It's also not safe for your ears because you know, this is my indoor voice, and I understand that some people find it a bit. And
not just that, I have to like be even louder to talk over you. So then that makes me like someone that can pop someone's eardrums.
That's because
right?
y'all people is all like loud and shit. I guess y'all was raised that way. It's like it's part of your culture or something. I don't know.
The loud white folk?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man.
I think my mom must have missed that memo.
Yeah, probably.
Because anything loud seems to trigger her.
Yes. And also, I say mean things to bad people.
Yes, he does.
And that includes all sorts of language that you probably don't want your kids to repeat.
Yeah, and he uses.
So I'm sorry in advance.
Like, seriously, he uses the word retard a lot. I don't like it, but when he's talking about like these horrible people, I let shit slide. You can't sort of like police everything.
You can't. So. Yeah. You can't police everything. And not only that.
And but my whole thing is let's pick our battles here, and I think that one can sort of like sit at the bottom of the pile for now. So you've been trigger warned. You've been trigger warned. So now I have the shilling thing that I have to do. I have to do that. Go visit acadiantimes.com. Right. I am working very hard to bring you guys as much news as I can. And every so often I even have in the past included kittens.
Oh yeah, we did kittens.
He did kittens.
Reason. I don't know why. Well,
and a hedgehog stuck in a croissant.
Yeah. Well, because some of the feeds are automatic. Some of the feeds are automatic, right? So, and there's stuff that's not political, not very much, but there's stuff.
Power Hour's calling you a corporate shill.
Yes, I'm a corporate shill.
Give me all your monies.
Send me monies. Go visit my Patreon. It's patreon.com or whatever, Acadian Times. Yeah, go there and plunk some money down because I got 5 fucking kids to feed. And unlike that lying bastard in the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Who?
The movie on Mars. I forget the title.
I'm sure someone will remember it and put it in the chat.
Yeah, it escapes me at the moment.
The movie on Mars.
Yeah.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, it's from the 90s and shit. Yeah, I said I had 6 kids. Yeah, that's the lie in the movie.
Oh, is
right?
It?
Where the guy tells him, "Yeah, I got 5 kids to feed," and then he's like, I thought you had 5 kids to feed. And then the guy goes, something like, oh, you got me.
Total Recall.
Total Recall. Thank you. Yes. You got me. I ain't got no kids to feed.
Oh, okay.
So, right. He's just a spy, right? He's
just
a spy playing a part, right? So yes, but I do legitimately have 5 kids to feed. So the Patreon, but also, follow us on Facebook and on Tumblr. I have a Tumblr.
And where are all these links? Because
they will be. I am going to include them at the bottom with the, what you call it, like that they come out on every video.
Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah, I should do that. Well, look, this is not my job. Well, I guess now it is. I don't know.
Look, if you're gonna run a website.
Yeah, I should probably do that. Yeah. So yes, follow Acadian Times on Twitter. And the Willy Bumblebee on Twitter. We try to bring you.
Power Hour says you have Tumblr. I know. I know.
Yeah.
He has a Tumblr. I don't have one.
No, the website has a Tumblr, right? It
posts, blame the
that's right. That's right. God damn it! I am blaming the website. It called to me in the middle of the night. It Tumblr feminist called me.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, if you do Tumblr, because I know a lot of feminists do.
Yeah.
And go to Patreon, and if you can,
give me all your money.
Give me all your monies, plural.
Give me your shekels.
Yes, I want shekels. Wait, aren't those like?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
No. Okay. Whatever. And if you listen to us on mobile or read about it or read the site on mobile, go download the app.
Wait.
I made a thing. It's a thing.
Wait. Power Hour says, no, I don't have anything against Tumblr. Laugh my ass off. You might be biased, Willie. Actually, no. You want to know the funny thing? I had a bunny years ago. My pet rabbit, Marshmallow. He was beautiful. I love that rabbit, and he had a Tumblr. I made him a Tumblr.
But I'll tell you what, though. I will tell you what. Most of the website traffic does not come from Tumblr. So if I have a bias, it would be against Tumblr, if anything. But I don't, But yeah. So shilling over. Oh, one more shill thing.
Yeah.
One more shill thing, because apparently.
Hurry up, because we got to jump into this conversation.
More milk has become a thing.
More milk.
So I have a T-shirt coming out tonight or early in the morning that says that has 2 fists.
Yeah.
You know how prisoners will sometimes put like hate and love on their fingers.
Yeah, on the knuckles.
They tattoo it
on the knuckles.
Yeah. Well, this one says Milktown.
Milktown.
Because like Baked Alaska needs to go to Milktown.
Yeah. Well, don't you put milk in Baked Alaska?
Don't you? I don't know the recipe. I don't know the recipe.
And are we sure that was milk?
Yeah. Well, it was sticky. It wasn't all runny and shit. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So, yes. Shout out to Dusty Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to you got the biographical data for the guy, right? He's like a senator, or he was.
Oh yeah,
John Dingell.
John Dingell, but we'll talk about him later.
Yeah. And so let's get into this.
Oh God.
Because this was an interesting day.
Okay, I want to address what's going on in the chat
first. Okay, what's going on in the chat?
Because the chat will move on, so I want to address this. Now, Rodline is arguing. Hold on, let me.
Of hitting people in the head with bike locks.
No. Hold on. He argues that Antifa is no better, and Antifa is violent and authoritarian.
Really, no.
Now let's be clear, right? I don't approve of breaking shit and any of that.
Well, no, shit takes money to make, so I don't approve.
But I am going to say this: there's a huge difference between burning trash cans, breaking windows, knocking over shit and whatever, and running someone over.
Yeah, that's kind of different.
And killing them, and injuring 19 others. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that there's a huge difference between those things, right? So, yeah. Now on the white supremacist, neo-Nazi, whatever the fuck you want to call it, side, there have been a few deaths that they have caused.
Well, and this latest one was, according to the commissioner or the police chief in Charlottesville.
It was planned.
It was planned. So we're talking probably at the very least manslaughter charges, if not murder charges against the driver, who I don't know. I don't know what affiliation.
I agree that both can be wrong, but they're in no way comparable.
Well, yeah, both are wrong. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I don't want you breaking my windows. And if I own a store, I got to deal with, the insurance company and all the rest of it. I don't want that. Of course not. But it's not the same.
But I keep hearing this stupid argument that they're equally as bad. No. One side is killing people.
And the other side is hitting them with bike locks.
It's hitting them with bike locks and not killing them. Okay, you shouldn't do that. You should not be smacking people over the head with fucking bike locks.
Yeah, you should.
But you shouldn't be running people over either. And I'm sorry, which one is worse? Yeah, killing people is probably worse. Yeah. So.
And look. A lot of people on the left, and I've seen them, and I feel you. I understand you people. I get it. You don't like violence. You don't like this notion of civil unrest. You don't like riots. I understand that. But somebody's got to stand there.
Yeah.
And what do you want to do? Throw flowers? You can't. This is a thing now.
Yeah.
This is a thing.
Professor Chocolate Cake says, one of you read this out loud. All right, I will. Sarah Santos, you are a manipulative narcissist and a lazy hypocrite. You use basement dweller as an insult, but live with your parents at 22. Okay. I have no idea what that has to do with anything, but all right.
Okay.
I must have missed.
Sarah Santos?
I don't know. I must have missed something somewhere.
Okay. Whatever.
That's attempted murder. Hitting someone with a bike lock. I don't know. I'd leave that to the prosecutors, but.
It's questionable. I mean, it's a bike lock. So, it's.
Look. I'm not going to get into this.
Yeah, it's
silly argument right now. Look, the guy wasn't killed who got hit in the head with a bike lock.
Yeah.
The woman today was killed, being hit with a car, and 19
deliberately.
Deliberately. Okay. Now you can argue until the cows come home about the implications of hitting someone with a bike lock or whatever, but I'm talking about what has actually happened.
And by the way,
so there. Right?
I just want to reiterate, right? By the way, the guy that punched Richard Spencer, he should go to jail for assault.
Yeah.
He should.
Yeah.
The guy that hit that dude with the bike lock, he should go to jail for, I guess, aggravated assault. I don't know. They have different classifications. It depends on the jurisdiction, right?
Yeah.
But he should go to jail for that. And the guy that ran over 19 people, he should go like under the fucking jail.
Under the jail, yeah.
Okay? He should go under the fucking jail.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but emotionally investful is right. Arguing semantics is pretty pointless when we're talking about actual Nazis. Yeah. Yeah,
and somebody was telling me that on Twitter just before. Like, look, I don't care what you call yourself. If you are Richard Spencer, right? He had an interview where the interviewer asked him if he called himself a white nationalist or white supremacist, and he said that he preferred the term white nationalist. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't give a shit what you prefer, right? Just like a lot of these guys will tell you, well, I don't give a shit what your pronoun is. Well, I don't give a shit what you call yourself. I call you a Nazi. You espouse their ideology. You use their symbolism. You chant their slogans.
Yeah.
Right? You associate with people that love that shit. You associate with people that are, in fact, fascists in the same mold as the Nazis were. Now, I don't give a shit to hear. Hold on, because this is part of the argument. Well, the Nazis were defeated in 1945. Yes, and I don't care.
Well, that's why they call them usually neo-Nazis.
Yeah,
the new Nazis.
Yes, the new Nazis. Terrific. Either way, because the objection is to the term Nazi. And then you'll hear, well, they were National Socialists. Like, motherfucker, this isn't even an original argument, okay? Yeah. The truth is, Shakespeare had it, and it's been said throughout history, right? Arose by any other name.
Yeah.
I don't care what you call yourself. I don't care.
Yeah, emotionally investful says if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck.
If it goose steps like a Nazi, then yeah, it's a fucking Nazi.
And look, if it Roman salutes, I love how they always call
it's a Roman salute. Yeah, it's also the Nazi salute.
If it Nazi salutes like a Nazi, then
and by the way, we don't even know if the Romans saluted in that fashion or not.
Yeah, and
it
again,
was popularized in movies, and we don't even know.
That I'm not even getting.
And who? Yeah, and at the end of the day, who gives a shit?
I don't give a shit. This kind of conversation that they always like.
This semantic bullshit.
It's to detract you away from the actual issue, and I'm not going there. So.
And the issue is.
But can I just clarify something? Because I had like a bunch of people come at me on Twitter. You know, they're like, "Yeah, well, you're on the left." And everybody's a fucking Nazi to you. No. These people, these KKK, white supremacists, ethno-nationalists, David Duke, Richard Spencer, fucking millennial woes types, those are the people I will call Nazis. People like Sargon and Dave Cullen and Crowton T.
Ooh, that half Rican guy.
And Chris Reagan and all that. I won't call them Nazis because they're not fucking Nazis. They're racist, but they're not Nazis.
They're water carriers.
And they're water carriers. But
they're not Nazis,
but
technically.
There's a big difference. And I use the words appropriately. So if you're going to say something or do something racist, I'll call you a racist. If you're going to stand there and Sieg Heil and use like 1488 propaganda and shit like that, you're a Nazi. And don't cry to me if you don't like that term. Then stop doing that shit.
I mean, if
stop being one.
You know what? This is one of those what do they call them? The teachable moments, right? You don't like being called a Nazi, right?
Yeah, so, like for example, like Sam Harris has gone full on racist, like race.
Oh yeah, he's a race realist.
Race realism and all this shit. I'm not gonna call him a Nazi though. Like until he's standing there, Sieg Heiling and saying like the 14 words and you know blood and soil and all that shit. No, I don't think you're a Nazi. I just think you're a moron and you're racist and you're hateful and your brain has turned to mush. Like that's how I see it.
Anything but
well, mush. Yes, exactly.
But yeah, no. Well, look, I will tell you this: if you're these guys, you carry water for them. You pretend. You know what's funny? Somebody brought this up to me on Twitter, and I'd like to ask people that listen to this. You know how these guys are always going on about how they, well, you know, I'm not platforming them. I just want to hear what they have to say so that I can debunk their arguments. You don't do a lot of debunking. I mean, just as an example, the roaming millennial chick just about fucking blew Richard Spencer.
Oh my God, that was so
She was sucking on that so hard.
Yeah.
It's amazing his head didn't cave in. But nevertheless, why don't you talk to the BLM people? I've never, let's talk to them.
Let's start from the beginning, okay? Because this is something that I want to.
What?
Hold on. Let me go to Twitter because I want to read it. My little tweet stream.
To the Twitters.
Oh, for fuck's sake, go to my. Thank you. All right, this is what I put out yesterday, and this is what we're going to talk about right now. This was on Twitter. It's a little thread. Thought. Say they want to talk to racists to understand them, and by this I mean like people like Sargon and all of these idiots are like, well, we need to hear the other side. All right. Why do the people who say they want to talk to racists to understand them not want to talk to black people to understand their anger? They are all hell-bent on understanding racists, but not victims of racism. Someone says you're racist, and they don't want to understand why. And they don't want to understand why they might be saying that. Instead, they dismiss being called a racist by saying that person is either an SJW or the actual racist.
Or they're the real racist.
Let me finish the thread.
Yeah.
They don't want to understand anything about racism from the point of view of minorities, but only from white racists. That's so ass backwards in my opinion. Maybe listen to the people experiencing the racism and hate and learn from them. Gee, what a novel idea, eh? But the reality is these guys don't actually care about the victims of racism or trying to stop it. They're talking to racists and giving them platforms because they identify and sympathize more with those kinds of people, because they don't want to confront their own racist attitudes, beliefs, and actions. It's too scary for them to admit they might not be a nice person or hate others. And that was the thread that I put out yesterday.
Yeah. Now, I want to get into that, but I want to. It's not like our chat scrolls by really fast yet.
Yeah, no.
Subscribe, goddamn you people! All right. So Patrick J says Richard Spencer himself once claimed that Sargon and Co are gateway drugs to the alt-right. That's right. This is just so you're aware, if you were not, Richard Spencer had an interview where he explained quite clearly that he was. These guys, people like Carl,
he even said Sargon,
yeah, and millennial woes and these other kind of people that I'm sorry, but you know, you're kind of alt-right. These guys are how you get people, how you radicalize nationalism.
Because I had a conversation yesterday, I muted the dude finally, but it was on Twitter. And he kept saying, yeah, but I want to understand their racism. I want to understand why they're racist, and I think it's important. And I said to the guy, I said, you don't need to allow people like Spencer a fucking platform to understand this. There are volumes upon volumes of academic papers, research papers, personal accounts, video, everything you could imagine on Google. If you want to find out why someone is racist, why they
where that kind of stuff comes from,
fucking look it up. Read a book. Go on Google. Do a search.
But it's not even that hard.
You don't need to platform people like Richard Spencer and millennial woes and all this, because they lie, they obfuscate, they use,
they play these word games,
they
these
use semantics. You're not going to learn anything. You want to learn, you really want to learn about it, okay, fine, then learn about it from fucking academics and people who study this, psychologists and shit like that. Don't go on a fucking Sargon stream and expect to learn anything about racism other than how to hide it and obfuscate and then go, oh, I'm not racist. Because that's what you'll learn. How not to, you know, show your racism blatantly in the face of everyone else. I mean, it really astounds me. I want to understand racism. Really? It's not rocket science. There's not a lot to understand.
It's hate, of ignorance and fear,
and
it's
really,
not that hard.
That's pretty much it.
It's really not that hard. All this other stuff. Look, I'm sorry to tell you, right? And I've been promising, and I have to do it. And I started doing it, but I haven't put it up. I was listening to the interview that Sam Harris did.
Oh my God.
With Charles Murray.
Oh my God.
And look, man. Look, there's a reason why. Look, unless you ascribe to the fucking conspiracy theory that all the scientists are just out to get Charles Murray, the fact that the reason why the bell curve was resoundingly rejected by the psychological community is because it's full of shit.
Yeah. Emotionally Investable says, this stuff isn't exactly new. I don't know why people think talking to alt-right talking heads is the best way to learn about racism. Because it's exactly what I said in my Twitter thread, right? In that little thread that I read out earlier. It's because they can identify with these people. And by talking to them and learning how to hide this shit from them, they don't have to confront their own hate, their own racism, their own part that they're playing in promoting these motherfuckers and their ideas, right? It's an easy and comfortable way to hide the bad shit about yourself.
The truth is, though, here's the truth, right? Here's the truth. The fact is that the science, what science there is, does not support the notion, for example, right? Just as one example, that measuring your brain pan is going to tell you how smart a person was. It's not going giving someone a test is not going to tell you how smart or successful they are. IQ is not a fucking thing. Phrenology, what they're now trying to rebrand as craniometry, is not a fucking thing. Okay, these things. There's no science behind it. I mean, in the interview that Sam Harris does with Charles Murray, he's like, well, scientists have come to the conclusion, or I'm paraphrasing, mind you, that it's 50 to 80% is hereditary. Like, that's not fucking science.
Yeah.
What, are you fucking kidding me? 50 to 80%? That's kind of a big you might as well say, well, you know, anywhere between 1 and everyone commits an act of murder.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how can you be wrong about that?
Yeah.
The fact is that this shit ain't science. The fact is, and politically, it's not fucking rocket science to understand either. Fucking almost what? In the 1930s and 40s, pretty much the entire world came out against Nazism for a fucking reason.
Power Hour says, I thought this was about Charlottesville, not guy. It's about racism, really, what it's about. And then in Charlottesville, we are going to talk about it.
Charlottesville, there's not much to say.
But there's just so much to unpack when you're talking about racism. There really is.
Yeah, there is.
Because of these fucking idiots who are like, well, we should let them speak, and racism isn't that bad, and I'm not racist. Well,
look, but there's not to say there isn't a lot to say about Charlottesville. Except for the fact that, right, what's the guy's name? The guy's name is.
Oh, I can't remember.
Hold on, I have it.
I tweeted it out earlier.
James Fields, James Allen or Alex. I can't forget. I can't remember.
Fields Jr.
James Fields
Jr.
And Poll, right? Poll, if you don't know, is a
4chan.
A part of 4chan, right? Where a lot of these guys congregate. Poll, the guy's most famous for spending an entire day trying to figure out where Shia LaBeouf was doing his spoken word poetry thing.
Yeah.
Which highlighted what Carl Sargon of Akkad calls weaponized autism, which I kind of can't disagree. But anyway,
Jesus.
Those guys, they doxed the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Right?
And now they've done it again.
And have they? Oh, you mean with this guy? Yeah. They have a history of outing the wrong person for shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they did it this time.
Yeah.
And the guy on Facebook was like, what the fuck? This wasn't me. I didn't do this.
That used to be my car, not my car anymore. I don't know who fucking did it, but it wasn't me. Bravo.
And so yeah. The Charlottesville Police Department has said that the mowing down those people, running them over, was deliberate. I don't know what affiliation, if any, this James Fields has, although he seems to be.
More information is going to come out.
More information is going to come out, yeah, for sure. He seems to be a member of the Republican Party.
Yes.
That doesn't mean a damn thing. A lot of Republicans have come out against this kind of stuff, and even against Trump.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean anything, but that's all I know about that guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the next couple of days, shit's gonna come out.
Shit'll come out. However, that caution that we just displayed by not trying to say he was, he's on the alt-right side or whatever. We don't know that yet for a fact. There's only that indicator, if it even is an indicator.
Yeah.
However, Still Gray,
yeah.
Ian Miles Chong, when Poll outed the other guy, he was like, oh, you won't believe who it is.
It's an Antifa member.
It's somebody from Antifa.
And then the dude was like, what the fuck?
What? Yeah.
That's not me.
And then
he backtracked when it came out that this guy was arrested.
Yeah, when the guy was arrested that was driving the car.
Who wasn't the guy that Poll had outed. He was like, I guess we just have to wait to see what the cops say. Yeah, you're a fucking idiot.
You should have waited for that from the beginning.
You're a fucking idiot.
I'm just saying. Like I said, I don't know what affiliation this guy has. I mean, you can draw conclusions, maybe even reasonably, but I wouldn't. Not yet.
What do you expect?
I don't know.
What do you expect from Ant-Man? Not much.
Not much. Yeah, I gotta say, I don't expect much from that guy.
But this is the alternative media that gives you the facts and the. Yeah. Okay. Okay. There.
Power Hour. Yeah. Power Hour says, my intro to anthropology textbook literally said race doesn't exist. Oh my God, what are you doing? Don't study this. Well, race as a scientific concept is bullshit, right? All of the things there will apply, of course, right? More intergroup difference than intergroup difference.
I'm not gonna get into that right now.
Yeah, no. As a scientific it's a full categorization, right? It's what people see.
Yeah.
Some people call it colorism, right? And it happens in all social groups and whatever. But the fact that all of this is rejected by mainstream science should tell you something. And if you're not a scientist, okay, terrific. Okay, so question global warming too, and question around Earth too, and question the heliocentric. Why don't you, while you're at it? I mean, if you're gonna question science, right, then question all of it.
Science.
I mean, and so this whole thing about race and IQ and all this other shit is just crap. And the fact is that you can't, it's if there's a gene that causes violence, everybody's got it.
Yeah.
Literally everyone has got it on Earth. They may not even be able to act on it, but they got it. That means white people and black people and brown people and bluish people and greenish ones and slanty-eyed ones and round-eyed ones.
Rodline says, wait, the Earth is round?
Exactly, yeah. And so, if there's a gene that causes violence, everybody's got it. Although you're going to hear people like AIU tell you, well, blacks are inherently violent. Yeah, he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah.
He said that in a video about a woman that got pulled over by the cops.
Amazing.
And got tossed around and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said that. Yeah. Yeah, he said that.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was those words exactly, but he said that. Yeah. That black people are inherently violent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah, well, so is everybody else. It's got nothing to do with skin color, and it doesn't.
George Dorsey says, oh shit, you said colorism. Bunty told me it's not real and I'm a victim because I said the term exists.
Bunty's a retard. Bunty is a retard. I'm sorry to say, Bunty is a retard. There's not much else I can say about that. And see, but again, this is what I keep telling people on the left, and they keep ignoring me. Like, look, the conversation is over. Okay? There's this excuse that people trot out. Well, you got to have the discussion, so convince people that are on the fence. There is no on the fucking fence.
No.
There is no on the fence about race.
The new center.
Either you believe the bullshit that white supremacists and white nationalists, and by the way, the Hoteps do it too.
Yep.
All the shit that they pump out, either you believe it because you're a believer, you're a sheeple, or you don't because the science isn't there.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. These people are like, well, no, because, will convince me that the fuck you. I should convince you that I deserve the right to live, that I deserve the right to live in the country that I was born in, that I deserve to, be afforded the same shot at a job as someone who's white or someone who's a woman or someone who's this or that. And by the way, I don't like the notion of privileging any particular group for any particular reason, unless you're doing something like affirmative action. And I don't even like that all that much.
Well, because
either.
Affirmative action isn't perfect, right? And there's no way to make it.
There's no way to make it.
But if you don't have it, then it allows for discrimination. So I mean, you're kind of. It's one of those things that you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, right? So, I mean, I have thoughts about it, but I think affirmative action in and of itself is okay, and I don't.
Patrick J asks, who is Bunty? Bunty King is a dude that is on the alt-right, and yeah, I don't care if they deny it. Let's be clear. I don't give a shit. He's on the alt-right. He was at VidCon recently, and he was part of the group of people that went there deliberately to harass Anita Sarkeesian. And mind you,
Bunty's a cunt. That is.
Oh yeah, he's a cunt. Yeah,
it's from George.
yeah, he is a cunt. And mind you, I am not, and I have said this repeatedly for years. I am not a fan of Anita Sarkeesian. But see, not because she's a feminist or not a feminist, but because I'm not a fan of her work. Because the video game series that she produced was, in my opinion, not very well done.
Now, here's a good question. Why is there still, and this is from GIFON, why are there still affirmative action for women in college admissions when women make up a majority of undergraduates? That's interesting.
That's a valid thing that I think.
And
that's
I didn't know
point.
that they still had that.
In
colleges.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still have it here.
I don't know.
But
about here.
in the States,
it's still a thing. Yeah.
Really?
I don't know.
That's odd to me. Like maybe that's like an old thing that no one decided to scrap.
These things are. Yeah, there are. I mean, I suppose that there are. Lots of
there are laws out there that are still in the books. Like there's a law in Ohio that you can't go harpooning whales in Ohio.
Ohio is landlocked.
Yeah, I know. And there's a law on the books that says you can't go harpooning whales in Ohio. And there's another law, I think it's in Virginia, where you can't paint your ladder. Like, I mean, these are the stupidest rules ever, right?
Well, there are still sundown towns. There are still sundown towns. So, you know, there are laws, because people misunderstand laws, and they misunderstand, like, it's this, like, part of it is the notion of, well, there's a black president, so racism is over. Like, that's not how it fucking works.
Here, this is something we're going to address right now.
What?
People should earn what they have instead of having it handed to them by virtue of breed or sex. And I agree, you should earn what you have. However, not everyone starts from the same starting point, right? In life at all, especially, you know, people in poverty, minorities, you know, stuff like that. They start off further back than a lot of other people do.
Well, look.
And so, you know, affirmative action, whether or not it's perfect, it's designed to give everyone everyone a chance. However, I would like to ask Homero 152, do you believe that inheritance should then be a thing? Right?
Well, that's part of it, right?
Right? I mean, your grandparents died, they leave you $1 million.
There should be no inheritance, because if everybody's got to start on a level playing field, you don't get to benefit from someone else's work. I don't care if you want to. Somebody told me the other day, well, but it's my money and I can give it to whoever I want. Actually, technically, not your money, belongs to the government. But even if I would grant that, well, okay, it's your money.
Sorry.
That doesn't what?
Rod Line says, fuck them, I'm going whale hunting in Cleveland.
Yes. Yeah. I encourage it. I break the law. I encourage you to break that law.
Oh, God.
It still doesn't negate the fact that you're telling me that there's a level playing field.
And here,
clearly it isn't level.
He says, but that's a bit different. That's between families.
No.
Because
a level playing field.
Inheritance, even though it's between families, if you inherit $1 million, you have a leg up societally. And so whether or not it's between families doesn't matter. It gives you that leg up.
Which means that there is no level playing field. And if that's your premise, if your premise is, well, we've got a legal, everything's level, there's no legal way to discriminate against anyone, then you don't understand how the law works, and you don't understand what you're saying. Because
now, if you were to inherit that money, say, and there was a law out there that said, okay, you can inherit all this money, but you cannot ever buy a home with it, pay for your car, you cannot pay for your education with it, you cannot use it to in any way inflate your status within society. Okay, maybe.
You know what?
But That would be kind
I wouldn't even go there. I wouldn't even go there.
No, but wouldn't that be kind of useless to inherit that money anyway?
I would say to you, if you want to inherit money, okay, terrific. Here's what you do. You have no access to that money until your, I don't know, 25th birthday.
All right.
Okay? From then, and if everybody's got that, if everybody has nothing to fall back on until they're 25, then everything from 0 to 25, you could argue is more of a level playing field. But you can't have both. No. I'm sorry, you can't. I'm sorry. It doesn't work. If you want to have an inconsistency in your ideology, that's fine. But I'm going to point it out.
And the reality of the situation, you know, all these what ifs and buts aside, the reality of the situation is that not everybody starts off from a level playing field. And affirmative action isn't only about people of color, right? Let's not forget that. People seem to think that affirmative action only applies to people of color and stuff like that. It doesn't. It all, like missions, for instance, I don't know if they do this in states, but here you list your income as well, like your household income stuff, because they will give priority to impoverished students. And by the way, they give them a leg up. And that doesn't have anything to do with your skin color. That has to do with the income of your family.
And by the way,
also at the college I went to, if you're a single parent, you get bumped up. If you have a child who has a disability, you get bumped. There are certain things that bump you up in the rankings.
Now look, here's the thing though. Here's the thing, and I need to explain this because this ridiculous myth is rife.
No, I know, but I'm just trying to point out that affirmative action doesn't equate only minorities.
Wait.
When we're talking about like skin color and shit.
Yeah, but let me, because this is something that people just completely gloss over, and they don't give a shit about it. And nobody, you know, you'd think that someone, if they were gonna be intellectually honest, someone like Sam Harris or Jordan Peterson, who are professors, would tell you how this works, or at least give you an idea. I'm gonna do it because I have this thing about intellectual honesty. Now, let me first say this. I am against the notion that, like, there's a professor that got caught. I forget which university. He got caught telling students that if they were unhappy with their grade,
oh yeah, I remember
that's fucked up.
That they could say, oh well, I don't think I should have deserved a failing grade. I should have deserved a 90.
Yeah, no, that's fucked.
You know, do you want to know something? College, when my first year in college, I took a class. I can't remember what was it. I think it was anthropology and media or some ridiculous course, because it fit my schedule. And I did one of the media projects that they asked for, right? And I did a really fucking good job. I'm serious. Like, I totally went all out on it. And at the end of class, the teacher told me my mark, and I was like, it was like 72 or something like that. And I said, what? And the teacher was like, oh, you don't think 72 is fair? And I was like, no, I fucking spent like forever. And I'm like explaining, you know, like I did this and I did that and I researched and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so the teacher says to me, well, what do you think would be a fair mark? And I'm like, I don't know, like 85, you know? And the teacher's like, okay, just erases the 72, gives me 85. And at the time, I was like, oh, all right, I got 85. But thinking back on it, I'm like, what a fucking moron.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Now, that being said, a lot of courses that are available, just overall, rely on the subjective interpretation of the professors.
Well, yes.
Now, that's a problem. And I don't know, there are piecemeal sort of solutions, like offering multiple choice tests.
Because it's easy when you've got like science, like math, right? You either get it right or you get it wrong. End of discussion. When we're talking about literature and these like the social sciences and stuff and the humanity, then
things are a bit more murky.
Well, yeah, because it's opinions. It's not really fact.
But wait,
and it's the teacher's interpretation.
But wait, this is what I want to get to, because this is something that the alt-right and the racists in particular love to pretend is true. When we're talking about affirmative action, right? You think that because you're black or you're Hispanic or whatever, you're not qualified to get into college. Now, here's the problem with that scenario.
Yeah.
It ain't true. The fact is that when you go into a college, right, they have to place you.
Yeah.
That means like someone like me, I speak English fluently, and obviously, right? Well, not so obvious on some days. I speak fluent Spanish, and I write and read it because I went to school in Puerto Rico, and so I had to learn.
Yeah.
I went to the foreign language department and said, "Listen, I speak Spanish.
Yeah.
I don't need to take no language classes because no language classes.
No.
I don't need no language classes, okay?
I don't need no stinking badges.
I don't need your stinking badges. Thank you." So I took a test, and I was exempted from having to take Spanish.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you got to take 2 semesters of a foreign language. However, I was not exempted from the number of credits required to get my degree.
Yeah, so you had to replace it.
So I had a whole like 12 credits that I added, and that's how I got a dual major.
Well,
I added it into my minor, and it made a major.
For
so
me,
dual major.
when I started college, they do the same thing here, only it's with French, right? Because I live in Quebec, right? So you gotta do the English placement test, which I passed with flying colors, and I was put like into the highest possible English courses that they had. However, my French orally I can speak it no problem. Writing it, I have fucking issues.
Right.
Okay. And so when I had to do the written portion, I sucked. And so my placement in the French writing was in a 101 class.
Right.
Like basic, like almost high school level shit. And I had to take that. Yeah. Right? Because I could speak it, which is great.
Right.
Writing it, not so good.
But wait, there's more to my thing, right? To debunking this bullshit. If your university has to know how good you are at, for example.
And by the way, the reason I was saying that is because that 101 class, the credits didn't count.
Right. That's what I was. Yeah. That's what I was getting to. I'm going to use math as an example.
Only to improve myself to the level where I could start earning credits for the actual college level French classes.
So so when you go to college, they got to test you to find out how good you are at certain things, because you have to meet certain requirements in order to graduate.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm talking about, I'm going to use math because a lot of these guys, they understand a little bit more about math.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a little easier to explain. And it's the quintessential example, right? If you go in there and you don't know algebra and you fail that placement exam, you don't get to go to algebra 1 or algebra 2 or whatever. No. You don't get that.
No.
Okay? You get to go to remedial classes to get you up to speed enough where you can pass the placement exam at the level that they need you to.
Yeah.
Which means that when you sit in your math class, remember, this is math. This is not like some subjective shit. You get it right or you get it wrong.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be able to say, yeah, I'm 75% proficient at algebra or whatever you got on that exam.
Yeah.
Right? In order to sit in that algebra class. And what that means is that when you graduate, you may not be a mathematician, but you got to meet that minimum requirement anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like because when I first started college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I just went into social science, right? In the regular, like, whatever the fuck, I don't know what I'm doing stream that most people go into. And after my first year, I was like, ooh, I really want to take anthropology. That was my thing, right? I really, really wanted to get into it. But in order to get into the serious anthropology stream, you need basic math, right? And I wasn't going to be allowed into the program because when I graduated high school back in '93, you were allowed to graduate high school with grade 9 math.
Right.
Right? And I sucked at math. Math was not my thing. So I knew I wasn't going to be admitted into the program. So what I did was I left college for a year and I went to night school at a different college, which was teaching grade 9 advanced, 10 advanced, and 11 advanced high school level math. So I could get those credits like from high school in order to apply to the program in college, right? So basically I had to go back to high school even though I graduated. Well, right, to get those credits because I didn't have
requirements change.
Yeah, and God knows why they would let you graduate with grade 9 math back then, but they don't do that anymore.
Well, you know, the bar has consistently been has been moving up to what most of these guys think.
So I reached grade 11 advanced and I passed it's amazing. In high school I couldn't pass it. When I went back to night school, I got 80s and 90s. It was amazing. And I'm like, I finally understand this shit. So I passed it and then I applied to the anthropology department and I got in and I stayed there for I think 2 years until I figured out, yeah, no, I want to go into social work. But yeah, I mean, you can't just get pushed forward if you don't have the requirements to meet whatever program it is. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, it's not,
and people don't understand this. Like, they're not just gonna go, oh, you're a woman? Okay,
oh,
yeah.
Well, you don't need to know any math. We'll just give you an A in
no, it doesn't.
So you can do
they don't do that. That's not, and it doesn't matter if you're brown or black or yellow or whatever the fuck color you are.
Now it's unfortunate, like I said at the beginning of this, that schools seem to be slipping on demanding that students be proficient in what they're doing. Yeah. That I think that needs to change. But certainly a petition to nowhere isn't going to help that. Certainly this insistence that a gender studies degree, like I said before, whatever degree you got to get, or whatever you think of the degree, right? Because I know someone who is very proud to have dropped out of college twice. I'm not going to say who that is, but I know someone online who's very proud of that. Like, look, bitch.
Look, bitch.
If you're proud of that, then you're like proud of being deliberately stupid.
Yeah.
Because if you're smarter than all of your professors, right? So just fucking go through the motions.
Yeah.
I mean, we know, like, last I checked, someone with a college degree makes like ridiculously more money. Like a lot more, like almost double what someone without.
It depends what degree too. If you've got a bachelor's versus a master's versus a PhD.
But a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree, somewhere between like 120 college credits.
Yeah.
And 130, something like that.
Well, it's like
4-year degree.
It's like social work, right? Like when I graduated social work, you could keep going. You could go get your master's and then a PhD in social work, right? And for each extra degree, your salary would significantly increase.
So why would you, if you're smarter than all these professors and you know more, why would you quit twice?
Yeah.
Clearly the first time it didn't take. So you thought it was still important to go to college.
I will say something about affirmative action, right? Or this need to have parity, right? When we're not talking about universities and colleges and stuff like that. For example, right, Trudeau here in Canada was all about having a balanced cabinet, right? 50-50.
Yeah, I think that's a problem.
That I think is problematic. And I said problematic because then you are excluding people based on ability over people based on genitalia or gender or whatever. And that and to run the country, right? Now I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that because you're trying to manipulate a system to match what you think it should be,
rather than what it naturally might end up being.
Yeah, and maybe that's not the best thing for everyone involved, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and so I was really like, when he came out and said that, I was just like, no.
Now I will say this. Now I will say this about. I agree with you. I agree with you. However, I will point out that, for example, Donald Trump is a moron.
Yeah.
Like I would hire a penniless straight A MBA student.
Yeah.
Over Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Unless I needed the money for something, right?
Fuck me. Gifon drinks, and I'd put him in charge.
Yeah. I gotta say that I put fucking War Corps in charge before I put Donald Trump in charge.
Although War Corps might have to apologize to Hawaii again.
Oh, yeah, he might have to. Yeah, that's true. That's true. To know, what are your views on universal basic income? I don't know what your views are.
It seems to be working in the places that they've implemented it. There is one province here that they've either started with a pilot project or are starting. I think it's New Brunswick or Nova Scotia? One of those places. Anyways, they're gonna, use that province as the pilot project to see how it goes. Yeah, to see how it goes. And apparently in other places, in other countries, it's worked really well.
Look, I would say to you, I would say
I don't know how I feel about it, but I don't think it's a negative thing.
No, I know exactly how I would feel about it, and I'll tell you why. Look, and I know this is like anti-corporatist and shit, right? Anti-prison company, right? Like the private prison people, right? Look, if you want a society where the crime is low, right, and people are busy about themselves, rather than mugging people and using drugs and all the other shit that we probably don't want so much of, then by giving people a basic income, right, then you're taking away the incentive to be a criminal.
Well, what people fail
in many cases.
What people fail to understand is that a basic income, right? It doesn't mean you're living large.
No, it doesn't.
Means you can meet the basic needs of everyday life without worrying about it constantly. Like, okay, I can pay my rent, I can pay my heating, I have enough food to eat, and now I can sort of stop stressing every 5 seconds and focus on, I don't know, maybe getting a job, maybe being more productive, maybe in helping yourself if you have health problems, like all these things. And it does lower crime because I think they did it in Iceland. And I'm not sure it's Iceland.
It's active somewhere. I don't know if Sweden or something.
One of the Norwegian countries I know did it, right? And they have almost zero crime rate now.
Now look, if you're
like pretty much zero crime rate, that is fucking amazing.
If your interest is taking care of the corporations that build and maintain prisons, then clearly you have a different set of goals. But if the goal is to spend the least amount of money possible to get the greatest positive results, then you would do that. I mean, I don't care if someone I don't care if someone wants to just live on the dole. I don't care. If that means that I have to spend, like they're going to take 10% of my income, then I'd rather them take the 10% than take 35 or 40%.
Now the thing,
build a prison and put those people in the prison.
The thing people also have to remember, right? If you're going to be the recipient of a universal basic income, right? It's never guaranteed that is always going to exist. right? Because the next government voted in could take it away.
It depends on the country, right?
Okay, but yeah. What I'm saying is, if the country runs out of money, anything could happen. So I don't know if I personally would want to be living off of something that I don't know is going to continue forever. And in the meantime, I'm not
developing skills or participating in the workforce or whatever.
So it isn't going to be something that I think people are going to want to stay on, because there's always that fear. And this is true for anyone earning income like on a government subsidy, because I've seen people who are disabled, right? I've seen people who are disabled who earn disability income.
Yeah.
And something somewhere in the paperwork gets fucked up, and all of a sudden they get a letter saying you've been cut off.
And now you're screwed, yeah.
And now you're fucked because you're disabled. You can't work. They've given you this notice like 30 days before you have to pay your rent, or sometimes even less. What the fuck are you going to do? So your life is basically in their hands, and I don't know that people would want to exist like that, you know? Because when you're not working, like you said, you're not improving your skills, you're not out there in the workforce. And so when you do go to apply for a job, well, when was the last time you worked? Oh, 10, 15 years ago. Oh, well,
you know, terrific. Like, I'm going to hire you.
Yeah, you know, so I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. But just as a practical matter about reducing I think that there should be incentives, to not be on it.
Yeah.
There should be like maybe even a requirement that you train for something.
Yeah. I don't think
or that there be a time limit or something.
I don't think the basic income should be for young, able-bodied people, right? Right?
Yeah.
I don't think it should. I think it should be maybe for people with kids who can't possibly, you know, work because, you know, little kids make it harder for you to find a job because you got to take time off when they get sick, right? So maybe that, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things that I could probably say on this issue. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I do, however, think that if they're going to implement a basic income, it shouldn't be something that's appealing to people to not go out and look for work.
There should be, you should be incentivized to participate. See, but that's the thing, right? Sometimes these questions are really sort of shit tests, right?
Yeah,
I don't believe that we should have a communist society where everybody puts their money in a pot. Just you know, you get this and you get this and you get this. No. I think that the best kind of society would include both a free market that's regulated, right, to maintain some safety and some standards and things like that, and that there should be a for lack of a better term, collectivist part, a socialist part that worries about, okay, you broke both your legs. It's going to be hard for you to be a construction worker with 2 broken legs. Yeah. How long is that going to take to heal? 6 months? Okay, for 6 months we got you. So because you don't want to have people fall into.
Mabesi says, he points out something very, very important here. You can use your UBI to start a business. That's true. And then you're pumping more money back into the economy. So I think this is one of those interesting topics where there are negatives and there are positives, and it would depend on the way it was implemented.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you can't just say, what do you think about the universal basic income? Well, what do you mean? Like, should it be like,
what part of it am I supposed to agree or disagree with?
Yeah, because I think welfare is too little to live on. Right?
Yeah. I knew back in the day, I knew people that were in the service, right?
Yeah.
So they're that husband or that wife is getting, you know, a PFC's income or Lance Corporal's income.
Yeah, like there's
and they are going to welfare because they qualify and they need it.
Yeah, like I know that if you're a single person on welfare, basically you're getting nothing, and how the fuck are you supposed to live off of that, let alone if you had kids, right? So welfare is inadequate, right? So, but do I think a living wage should be cushy? No, I think it should
be a living wage.
Yeah, it should be enough the basic standard needs of whatever makeup that family is. Like if you have 3 kids, factor that in.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably, yeah, because you don't want kids to go hungry while their parents are eating.
Yeah, if you live with,
or
let's
vice
say,
versa.
elderly parents who can't work, factor that in. Like it all needs to be factored in and done on an individual basis.
And I'm sorry, but see, here's the problem, right? Here's the fundamental, irreconcilable thing that we got going on here.
Yeah,
right?
Micaiah says Social Security is inadequate to live on. Exactly.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. Here's the fundamental problem that we're talking about, really. We're talking about, on one extreme, people who are John Galt.
Yeah.
And on the other extreme, people who are the Borg.
Yeah.
Okay? And you gotta, for this, you gotta meet somewhere in between. You can't, because Gifan says, I postulate that affirmative action has done more harm than good. It keeps getting, or kept getting Jesse Helms reelected. Yeah, there is that. But no, it's in all seriousness, it does hurt your ability to say, I did this, which is what an employer wants to hear.
Well, actually, right? I've talked about this before, because a lot of minorities, right, who have gotten into university and college and stuff like that, because of affirmative action, they have always questioned whether they got there because they really earned those good grades and they earned their way in there, or you're black, let's let you in.
Let's dumb it down for you so you can.
And there was a girl a couple of years ago who was going to college. I think she was in Yale or something. She was like in a very prestigious university. And she wrote a whole essay that got published in some newspaper. I can't remember. Don't ask me to remember. This was a while ago. But that was basically her thing, right? She's like, I've gone my whole life wondering
whether or not I
given this grade because I earned it or because I'm black. And people felt bad for me, or people felt pity for me, or because they felt they had to like hit a quota or something, And so she's like, affirmative action can be good, but it can,
well, it fucks with your self-esteem as a person, and that's an important part of who you are, right? We look at the right. I look at the alt-righties, at the incels and the MGTOWs, and I see a bunch of fucked up dudes that have like no self-esteem. They think so poorly of themselves, and that's a fucking thing. That affects your ability to have a job and to have a social life and to be a contributing member of society. Now, look, the thing of it is that, like I was saying before, right? On one extreme, you have John Galt, and on the other, you have the fucking Borg. And you have these people, these extremists on the right, who think that they got there just on their own balls.
Yeah.
And that's not fucking true. No. That's not fucking true. You didn't feed yourself when you were 3. You didn't take care of yourself when you were 5. Somebody did that for you. I don't care if it was your parents or foster care or the fucking orphanage
or your grandparents
or I don't care who did it.
Yeah.
The underlying premise of Western society is that it's a fucking society.
Mm-hmm.
It is I'm sorry, Carl. I'm sorry, and who's that other fucking retard?
Louis Laveau.
I'm sorry, little Louis. Being part of a society means you are a participant in that society. That just doesn't mean I'm going to shit all over this and expect someone to clean it up.
Yeah.
Right? That's why you pay taxes. That's why you abide by the laws.
Yeah. I love how people like Sargon and Louis Laveau and V and everybody, they're all like, I'm an individual. I do everything on my own. Yeah, really? Did you pave the street you drove down last week? Because I bet you didn't. Like,
yeah. But
did you build the house you're living in?
Oh, no, but I paid for it. So you could. No, you didn't. No, you did not. No, you did not. You did not pay for every person that built that road to put food on their table.
No, Sargon didn't pay for it. His patrons paid
for it. His patrons paid for it, yes. That's right. You did not pay for the people that went to college and studied electrical engineering and made the power grid that feeds your fucking house. You pay for the electricity. That's the end result of it.
Gifon says, Carl, did you give yourself that massage?
That's right. Carl doesn't give himself his own massages, and he doesn't pay for them either. His patrons pay for them.
Yeah, you know.
So no, you know, and this is the problem. This is the problem. Look, people like Steve Bannon, they're on the record as saying they want society to burn, and a lot of the MGTOWs, that's what they're waiting for.
Now
they don't want to be part of society. They're just sitting back.
You've actually we'll go with the Bannon thing and jump from there into Charlottesville actually, because that's what
I don't want to go to Charlottesville.
That's what this stream was supposed to be about. But you know
our streams are always about a lot of things.
Yeah, well, racism and Charlottesville, I think it kind of goes together well. Yeah, this normalization. Let's talk about the enabling, the normalization, the emboldening that has happened since Trump, right? A lot of people are saying, you know, no, Trump, it's not Trump's fault. It's not this, not that. I'm sorry. Trump has and emboldened this shit.
I'm going to put it, you don't got to believe me. You don't got to believe me at all.
Yeah, I mean,
give me a second, and I'm gonna read to you what I found today.
Oh, okay.
Find
it.
Here, this is
David Duke,
former, what is it, Grand Dragon, whatever the fuck it is,
Grand Wizard
of the KKK. This is him. Quote, talking about the Charlottesville protest or rally or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Unite the Right thing, right? Quote, this represents a turning point for the people of this country. We are determined to take our country back. We're going to fulfill the promises of Donald Trump. That's what we believed in. That's why we voted for Donald Trump, because he said he's going to take our country back, and that's what we got to do.
Yep.
So I'm more than happy. Anybody who knows Donald Trump personally or who tweets at him and he tweets back, hey, go ahead and tweet at him. Ask him, does he repudiate David Duke and what David Duke said? Otherwise, David Duke is not a stupid person. He's a doctor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not a medical doctor. I don't think he's a PhD.
He's got a PhD.
But his title is doctor.
Dr.
Right?
David Duke.
If you have a fairly well respected, even if it's just amongst the racists.
Yeah.
If you have a leader of the racists or the white nationalists or whatever, and they're saying that they did this for and because of Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take you at your word.
Now Gifon says, God fucking damn it. Trump is what he is. How about we blame all the spineless conservatives who failed to take the David Frum route.
David Frum.
I don't know.
He's a political commentator.
I thought it was a misspelling, whatever. Route and put principle over party.
Terrific. Ask them to.
Yeah, but
I got no problem with them aligning themselves. Terrific. Time.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Donald Trump. Hate crimes have gone up.
Yeah.
Assaults fueled by racial hatred and anti-Semitism and anti-immigrant sentiment have been on the rise.
Yeah. I'm sorry. And then
if it's coincidental, I guess. Well,
what do you want from a president who says you've got to attack their families?
That's right.
You know,
he said
when he's talking about Muslims and we're going to build a wall, keep all the bad hombres out. And then he went on that racist tirade about the Mexican judge. I mean, come on. The leader of your fucking country is saying this shit. He put Bannon and fucking what's the other weasel's name?
Gorka
Miller
and Steve Miller
in the White House. And then what? You don't expect that these fucking retarded KKK neo-Nazi fucking white supremacist people are not going to feel like they're emboldened.
That's what they voted for.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can't, because I've seen this online too. a lot of the people on the alt-right, a lot of the people that support Trump, they're like, yeah, you know, we put him into office.
He even said, even though he never did it, but he said that he would pay for the legal fees.
Yeah, for anybody that ejected someone from a rally or something. Yeah.
Look,
or
I'm
put someone on a stretcher.
I'm sorry. I know people don't like it, but yeah, Trump has been a huge player in what is going on right now.
Yeah. I don't mind if you can get him to say, "Hey, I am not part of the alt-right. I don't want this," because he did once.
No, he didn't.
Or something along those lines.
No, he said, I don't know who this David Duke is.
No, not about David Duke, about the alt-right. He said, something like that. Words to the effect that I'm not that I don't support them or something.
Yeah, that was really not.
But yeah, I'm sorry. Somebody on that Carl stream that I started to listen to. Oh my God, it's fucking cancer.
That was Louis LeBeau.
Okay, that asshole said that Trump had come out against the
that he condemned it.
That he condemned. He condemned violence generally, and whoop-de-fucking do.
Yeah,
what would you expect them to do? Say, hey, it's okay to kill brown folk?
He didn't want to say it, so.
Yeah, and he didn't say explicitly, yeah, I condemn the alt-right or I condemn these neo-Nazis that are there. So, I'm sorry. If you want it, look, if you want their support, fine. You get their support.
Okay,
but you also get the shit. Kraut's Law.
Giffon says also, none of this is attributable to the preposterous excesses of the predominantly campus left. Well, okay,
no, not remotely.
See, I've seen this excuse going around all day today.
Yeah, I'm a Nazi because you made me one.
The PC culture police and the SJWs, pushed me so far to the right that, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The fucking SJWs bothered you so much you had to become a neo-Nazi.
Well, see, but that's why I say...
How fucking... I'm sorry, I'm going to use the word. How fucking retarded are you? Yes, I used the word.
Not you, Giffon.
No, not you. I'm talking about...
the people who make this argument.
Yeah, no, not you.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you claim to be the rationals and you claim to have all this stuff, oh, well, no, I it's cool and calculated and I use logic. And so your logic tells you that something that you hate and you don't believe in and you think is wrong, you're going to join that because someone called you names.
Yeah.
That's the argument. That is the argument. That's not a straw man. That is what the argument is. The argument is, well, you're pushing me further to the alt-right because you want me to use some different pronouns and I don't wanna.
No.
Is that how you rationally make decisions?
Yeah, I think it's really ridiculous.
Yeah, no,
I think even Chris Reagan put out a tweet a little while ago saying, "Oh, I'm getting pushed further and further to the right."
No, you're not.
Really?
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Really?
You are now able to articulate a half-assed reason to support your already held beliefs.
Well, it's not just that. It's I want to blame everyone else for my bad behavior.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. No, you can't tell me that you're irrational, and in the same breath tell me that somehow you've been driven to it.
Yeah.
I've been in rooms full of naked women. I haven't fucked any of them.
Mabasi says, think about all the free will and free agency memes Carl pushes while saying, you give these guys no other choice. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't have both. You cannot. And I'm sorry. It's just, I've seen this so much, especially today. They're pushing us so far that it's like,
they're hurting your feelings.
Are you kidding me? You're seriously saying that because some SJWs called you names, you're going to be a Nazi now? Like, that is the most, I don't like that word. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not very rational. So if you want to claim, yeah, I'm just a regular.
I think even Harris came out in his podcast and said that. That basically that's what happened to him. He's been pushed so far that
he said that.
Yeah,
because I know he says some really stupid.
Yeah,
shit.
I think he said that at one point he was like, they push you so far that you. And I'm like, so that's why.
That's how science works. That's how science works.
Science.
Yeah. So no, I don't grant that argument for a second. I still have plenty of disagreements with feminists.
Yeah.
Just because all the alties want me fucking dead and shit, doesn't mean I'm gonna become a feminist.
Gifan sent that one to you right there.
Joe, just listen a minute.
Read it properly so people can hear you.
Oh, I can't mumble through it. God damn it. Just listen a minute. I'm a straight white male immigrant who came to America and has prospered as a business owner. Cool, good. Yet I still can't be a Republican because of their ideological excesses.
Okay, good.
Good. Well, that's the thing, right?
We don't think you're an apologist.
No, I don't think you're apologizing for them. I'm saying that.
And he says, flip that around. That's my argument.
What part of it am I supposed to flip around?
I don't know.
An immigrant who came to America, or all of it, or
why don't you flip it around and we'll read it?
Yeah, flip it around for me, so I don't have to so we don't have this thing where I think it's one thing and you're saying something else, and that way, yeah. But yeah, no, look. If you have a firmly held belief, why is that shaken by what someone tells you? I mean, Jesus, it is the internet.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to convince me that I should throw a brick through a window just because the business is hiring kids. I don't know, something like that.
Look, I've been told a lot on social media by people of color and stuff like that I'm a white supremacist, that I have this some sort of crazy white privilege, and that I should shut up as a white person, and then I'm actually racist because I've been told all these things, right? That these guys have been told.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, ironically, so have I.
Yeah, like fuck you, whitey, and blah blah blah. That doesn't make me.
That doesn't make me think that.
That makes me think that the person saying it is an idiot. And I leave it at that. You're an idiot. And I don't get mad. I don't get upset. I don't cry. I don't scream. I don't yell. I don't say all of the left is like this or whatever, or all black people are like this. And I don't concoct some sort of ridiculous scenario in my head. I just look at the individual person that said this to me and go, you're a nutbag. And I move on. I don't go, oh my God, they're against white people and I gotta go join with Richard Spencer now. Like, that, what? What? Are you that insecure? Really? Like, just fucking laugh it off and chalk it up to some crazy person rambling on about random shit.
Okay, Gafan says, the insanity of the PC left has made it impossible for me to align with them, even though I have a trans girlfriend and pro-choice, and to the left of Bernie Sanders on healthcare. Well, you know what? I agree with you on that Bernie Sanders thing. I think there should be universal healthcare. Yeah. I think that it should be, I think that almost, right? Not philosophically, but just like as a talking point, healthcare should be a human right. However, I don't have any problem with trans people. I'm pro-choice, even though I don't like, the idea of an abortion. And I don't consider myself part of the left either. And there's a lot of shit that, like, look, I had this thing with someone else before. Remember, yesterday or the day before. Like, yeah, I'm gonna say that. Yeah. I'm gonna no, don't tone police me.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. But
no, I'm gonna say retarded. I understand you don't like it.
Yeah, it's
but
like,
a lot of people on the left would hate it.
Look, I hate when people say autistic screeching. I can't stand it. I have voiced my opinion on this more times than I care to talk about. I even made a video.
I have to divorce you now.
Yeah. I hate that. I can't stand it. I wish people wouldn't say it, but I know people are going to say it, and I'm not going to tell you not to say it. I'm just going to tell you I don't personally like it. I hate it, and I may mute like the tweet that you put out with that, but I'm not going to like go fuck you in your face if you say it once or twice or whatever. Now, if you're doing it constantly, then I may block you, but it's up to you if you want to use it or not. I'm not going to go around saying, you can't ever say that because rah, rah, rah. And that's what a lot of people took away from my video on autistic screeching, which is not what I'm saying. I'm saying, look, you can say it. It doesn't mean I have to like it. All right. But I'm not going to tell you how you should speak.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Also, I just want to address this. Mabisi says, how am I against whites by telling them they have privilege? You're not. You're not against. See, look, that's the thing. And God, I hate that things can get mixed up like this. I think that white people do have privilege. I do. I really do think that white people have privilege. It depends on what context and in what area and all this, right? And I'm not going to get into all that. But you're not, I lost the tweet. Hold on. You're not against whites if you say that white people have white privilege, because that's a thing.
Well, privilege is a thing. And what's ironic is
but people take the word white privilege to mean something so negative and so horrible, and it really it isn't. If you break it down and you really look at what it means when someone says white privilege, without being, because people do
without
use it,
being reactionary or without
I have seen some people use it, right? But if you take that context and move it aside for a minute and just look at what white privilege means, I don't think that means you're against white people. I think you're just pointing something out that other people may not understand. Look, and you want to have a discussion around that. And I don't think that that's a bad thing, because I've talked about white privilege before.
Look, ironically, privilege is something that everybody strives for.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole argument of inherited wealth is, I want to privilege my children. I want to leave them something so that they don't start at zero. That's a privilege. Yeah. You want that. You want that. It's the problem that a lot of white people have, and quite honestly, it's a denial of like history and really reality. It's a denial of reality, and this is something where Richard Spencer and I sort of agree. He says that the United States was made by white people
for white people, and not just white people, like
rich white people, not just any old cracker.
Yeah.
But see, and colored folk, listen to me. I'm not saying that the United States wasn't built off the back of slave labor. That's true, right? My ancestors and people from Africa were slaves, right? And it was an institution. It was a fucking thing. What I'm saying is, Richard Spencer is saying that the Constitution was written by a bunch of rich white guys to favor them. And that's fucking true. Why would you write a constitution out that favors some people you hate, or some people you think of that aren't really human? You think of them as not being really human.
Yeah.
No, you privilege your own. You privilege your people.
I really enjoy like the stuff that people are bringing up in the chat, by the way. I really do. Because Gifon says, who gets to define hate speech? Well, that would be courts.
Yeah.
Really, that would be courts and judges and the Supreme Court and shit like that. Like, I could say what you're saying. You say something and, oh, that's hate speech. But that just means that I think it's hate speech. Now, whether or not that's actually hate speech, that would have to go through a court.
Yeah.
To be defined as actual hate speech.
Here's the thing about this. Here's the thing about this line of reasoning that some people have, and I'm not saying you have it, Gifon. I'm saying some. I've seen some people tell me this. Well, it's all going to be hate speech. No, it's not. No, it's not. After 1945, Germany and a lot of other countries in Europe adopted hate speech laws against Nazi iconography and Nazi slogans, and Mein Kampf was banned just until just recently.
Yeah, it's still. And by the way, I still can't get a copy here in Quebec.
Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot get a copy of Mein Kampf in Quebec.
Here's the thing, though.
Although that may just be because they haven't translated to French. I don't know.
Who knows? No, probably they have. In the intervening with 70 some odd years, society has managed to put someone on the moon. Well, actually, more than one someone. Put someone on the moon. Discover gravity waves.
Yeah.
Usher in the now we're on the 6th generation of jet fighters. Microwaves, right? HDTV, computers that are, I mean, fuck me. A calculator today has more processing power than the computers on board some of our spacecraft from the 50s and 60s. We've done all that. We've elevated the middle class. Well, not so much anymore, but we've done all these fucking things in the presence of all of these hate speech rules, these hate speech laws. England has really strict laws on what's hate speech, and they managed to be a first world country anyway. The fact is that this free speech argument is a dodge. It's a way to get bad arguments and bull and retconned history into the conversation again. That's what it is. That's why you have a slew of people on the internet today that talk about the Jewish question and go, well, the Holocaust didn't really happen. It wasn't really a thing. There were lots of other people there, and you know, and they're rewriting history. They're presenting phrenology as if it's some brand new thing. They're talking about eugenics like it hasn't been debunked. They're talking about all of this stuff. They're talking about the flat earth, and they're talking about it. And in the presence of hate speech laws against certain things, there's no slippery slope. There isn't. There isn't a slippery slope. You're not going to get from, well, we're going to ban Mein Kampf to Newspeak Dictionary version 65. It's not going to happen. It doesn't work like that. Laws don't work like that. You're being, the people that believe this, you're being fear-mongered into believing that they're coming for your guns. I mean, for fuck's sake, before Obama got elected, that was one of the biggest lines that the Tea Party and the people on the right had. He's coming for your guns. He's gonna come. He ain't come for nobody's guns. He ain't come for nobody's guns. There are plenty of Democrats who vote pro-gun. You know, these are not slippery slope issues.
No,
it's clearly defined.
No.
Saying, you know, threatening someone with death has always been against the law.
Yeah.
That hasn't led to now. How many people do you know have threatened someone online, some bullshit threat? I'm gonna burn your house down, or I'm gonna, how many of them are in prison? Not many.
Yeah.
Not many. And that's why the cops have this thing where they look at the credibility of the threat.
Yeah.
They don't just go, oh, well, it's technically it's a threat. I mean,
if they look, if you call and say, yeah, I got this death threat or whatever, online, and they find out that the person who issued the death threat lives like halfway around the world,
they're going to tell you that's
going to be like, yeah, that's not really a credible threat.
Yeah, that's usually what happens, because there's no slippery slope here. There isn't. That's just a fear tactic that's used by people on the right, to be able to get their bullshit ideas into common discourse. That's all that is. And if you don't believe me, look, Frank Luntz is a guy who is a Republican. I hate to say operative, because he ain't a spy, and he's not, special forces or something. You know, he's just some dude. He got successfully. He changed the public discussion about estate taxes, turned into death taxes.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know, there's no people are free to say most of what they want to say. What you're not free to do in most places is say, I want to kill me some niggers. I want to gas some Jews.
Now I want to go back in the chat because the chat's moved a bit, but Zephyr says on the subject of white privilege, right?
Yeah.
I have some privilege, but less than others due to other factors. Yeah, everybody has, depending on where they are and in what circumstances they find themselves.
Context matters.
Yeah, you know, like I have white privilege in the area where I live right now at this given point in time in my life. Oh, great. I said don't flush the toilet. They flush the toilet. But anyways, like I was saying.
You people can fix that. send me all your monies and I will go. You know.
But yeah, I have privilege. Now, if I were to go into, say, where you used to live in the Bronx.
Yeah, that would not be good for you.
At like 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, do you think I have much privilege?
Your ass might get beat.
Yeah, there's my privilege, right? So it's all contextual, and it all like really, it's such a huge conversation, and people like to distill it down to you're being racist. Which,
yeah, no, look.
Which is ridiculous.
But here's the truth, right? There are some very simple things that are pretty inescapable that you know that being white does bring you.
Yeah, and Zephyr's right. Privilege has a shit ton of nuance to it. Exactly.
Yeah, I was about to say, but there are a shit ton of things that privilege me in different circumstances. And
Gifon says, Wooly, that's absurdly facile, and I genuinely respect you as a thinker. I don't know what part, so if you could tell me what was absurdly facile.
You live in fucking Canada. Everybody's translucent.
Yeah, well, you know, there is that.
I'm not translucent.
Well, you're getting there.
Really?
Your skin has significantly lightened since you've been here.
Well, I catch that sun now.
You're turning white.
I'm turning white. It's catching. God damn it. I can't get it off.
Apparently in England, according to Mabisi, you pay a 5,000 pounds for calling a person a slur in public. That's insane. That's
5,000. That's 10 grand, right? Just give or take. That's $10,000 US.
Roughly US.
Maybe a little bit less. I don't know.
That's crazy.
That's fucking nuts. That's fucking nuts.
That's I don't know. I don't know.
And for the record, I disagree with a lot of those laws.
Yeah.
I don't think that saying "fuck you, nigger" or "fuck you, spick" or should be a finable offense. It should. I don't think so. I think that it condescends too much. Too much. I'm good with if you legislate, for example, that colored folk have access to civil attorneys for civil litigation, right? Because right now, as it stands in most Western countries, if you're charged with a crime, you can get a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right. That's one of those legal things that's been here for a while.
Oh yeah, like here, even people on welfare, can get lawyers.
But
it won't be a great lawyer.
in civil court, however, right? If a company dumps
different.
Toxic waste in your backyard,
that's different.
You may not be able to get a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
when I went to the Human Rights Commission when I was fired because I was pregnant, which you cannot do. So I took my employer to the Human Rights Commission over it. I had to reach a settlement in the what do you call it? The mediation.
Yeah.
Because if I wanted to take it any further, I had to hire my own lawyer.
Right.
And I couldn't afford, but they could.
Because
they were a company.
They have money. Yeah.
Right. So it was kind of like, I gotta settle this, otherwise I'm fucked, right?
Yeah,
so yeah. I settled. And
that's what I'm saying, right?
So you won't get a lawyer on the government dime for shit like that.
No, for suing people and civil litigation, you usually don't. However, if that were a thing, I would be for that, but I wouldn't necessarily be See, if that were a thing, really, then a lot of this other stuff would go away.
Yeah.
To be honest, because then you have access to someone who can litigate on your behalf.
And again,
that's
things. An uneven playing field, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Because the rich
people
will always
have a lawyer.
In those situations, because if you're gonna have to, like in my case, right, I probably could have gotten a lot of money for what they did to me if I had access to a lawyer. But because I had to settle in fucking mediation, it wasn't even close.
No, because they would rather that you not be able to sue them.
Well, no, of course not. What the fuck, you know? So yeah, I lost where the tweet was that I wanted to talk about. Let me see. It was from a Basie. Oh, here. And I don't know why the message got deleted, but okay. In our old neighborhood, I had in-group privilege among the Latino community while my wife was mostly shunned. Yeah, exactly. Because it really does depend on where you live and what your circumstances are. And see, this is what I was trying to say about when people say white privilege, right? It is very contextual, and it's not always, it can be used as a racist thing, but generally it's not. Like when people are talking about white privilege, they're talking about so many different things. And you know, then you've got people who sit there and go, oh, well, you're just being racist. Well, no, it really is that a lot of people just don't want to have, because, you know, why would you want to learn anything? And Joe went to the washroom, so I'm on my own through the tweets. I'm gonna go through the comments. Oh my god, I can't speak. Let's see. Let us see. Pence is the puppet master. Yeah, I did. I would say so. He's pro-conversion therapy. Yeah, he's a nutcase. He really is. So, I mean, if Trump were to ever, like, step down or something would happen to him, I don't think things would be any better with Pence being the next one in line. Let's see. You are right, Giffon, that Pence is nuttier than a 6-foot pile of squirrel shit. Let's see. And who is running water in the other room? That's probably Joe. Oh, there's a question for Joe when he gets back. Hey, Joe, why do Latinos hate Black people so much? I can't answer that one, so I'll mention that to him when he gets back. I know that there's a thing, though, with Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. I know there's a thing there, but I really, like, I'll let Joe handle that one. Okay, so you guys are just talking amongst yourselves, and I'm just waiting for Joe to get back. But seriously, the whole thing in Charlottesville, it's just disgusting. It really is disgusting. I mean, I know I'm going to use a current year argument. Oh my God, current year, but I'm like, seriously, it's 2017, and we're having to denounce Nazis, neo-Nazis, fucking white supremacists. Jesus Christ, like, what did my grandfather fight in World War II for? He would be rolling in his grave if he knew what was going on right now. I'm telling you, my grandfather would be like, what in the holy fuck is going on? Because this is just insane. And this whole, oh, we need to let the other side talk. No, you fucking don't. They have the right to talk, but they don't have the right to any of my platforms. And you shouldn't be giving them a platform from which to spout their bullshit from. That, I mean, that's whatever. If you disagree with me, I don't care. All right, you're back. So there's a question for you.
Is there?
Here, let me find. Here. Mabasi says, hey, Joe, why do Latinos hate Black people so much?
You know, that's kind of been a thing for me. I don't really know.
See, I have seen it a lot. I've seen it a lot, like where I used to live, people were very rude to my wife who's full black.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
He's Latino, right? So he lived in a Latino community.
Yeah.
And he said like he had privilege in that community, whereas his wife was basically like shunned.
Yeah, no, but yeah. Let me tell you something.
And while you were not here, I said I don't know, I can't answer that, but I think there's a thing between Puerto Ricans and Dominicans.
Oh yeah, Puerto Ricans hate
like
Dominicans.
I know your mother, who's Puerto Rican, has a thing against. Well, she doesn't like white people either very much, although she seems to put up with me quite well.
Well, you know, you can get used to anything, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
But I will tell you that part of it stems from I guess in a weird way privilege, right? Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens since I think 1898.
Okay.
Or well, slightly after that.
But
the Dominicans aren't.
But let me ask you this question, because I don't know if it's the same in the States, right? But aren't Latinos considered white?
Some are.
Okay, because like I know when you're filling out like the census and shit,
yeah,
it's got Caucasian, African American,
they're kind of white or something.
But it never says Hispanic or Latino, right? That's assumed to fall into the Caucasian
or category. Black
or or in other.
Or other, yeah, I suppose,
people will write it, but when they write in other and they write in Latino or whatever, they actually get grouped in with the Caucasian in the data.
Oh, okay,
right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they do that in the States, and maybe that's a thing.
Puerto Rico has its own history of, and I can't speak for other countries really. Maybe a little bit about. But the thing is that Hispanic people, that is to say, people who speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Right, people.
And we're talking about like Spaniards from Spain.
And who speak Spanish mainly because of colonization from Spain.
Right.
Okay. People fall into the category of white. Some of them are black. Some of them are mestizo like me. And there's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Yeah, I know. I keep telling them to stop doing that, and they keep doing it.
Of course, because they're children.
But I will tell you this: in the United States, right, like most immigrant groups, Puerto Ricans in the diaspora, right, like not so much in Miami, but in New York, Chicago, and other places, they have been there for a while. And Dominicans are a sort of late coming group. Okay. And so there's that jealousy, rivalry thing between them.
Aren't Dominicans darker skinned too on average?
I don't know about on average, but in Puerto Rico there was less. I guess there's less Black African DNA. I suppose is the way to put it.
Well, yeah, because aren't you guys in Puerto Rico more from the Native American side?
Yes.
Which would which would make more sense as to why you're not because darker skinned. You're like brown sort of.
Well, yes, but there are Puerto Ricans. Like there's a town called Fajardo, where like everybody black, and I don't mean like darker than me. I mean like
because when they came in over the ocean.
Port. No, they came in over the air.
Shut up.
Silly.
Like, was it a port town?
It's a port town.
Yeah.
And that's what I suspect that I haven't checked the history because I'm not a very good Puerto Rican. I suspect that a lot of the people that stayed there after the Spaniards left were of Black African descent.
Okay, yeah.
I assume that that's the case, although I don't know. I can't be 100% sure. And so, but yeah, it's a thing about the diaspora and who's got the right to do and who doesn't. Yeah. And also there's a thing with the language because Puerto Rico has been a possession of the United States for about 100 years.
Yeah, says it depends on what part of the island you're from.
Yeah, it depends on what part of the island you are from. In Guanica, which is on the southern tip, that's also a thing. A lot of Black African DNA. In Aguada and Aguadilla, a lot more people. Now, towards the center of the island, there's a lot less Black African and a lot more native Taino.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Although Taino is almost not a thing anymore.
Is there also like, I don't know, is there also like a class issue that goes along with it?
Well, if you were a Spaniard and you know the slaves you owned and whatever, you bought the ones that I suspect you bought the ones that you preferred more.
Right.
So, you know, the lighter skinned, and so yeah, there's a class thing, and Puerto Rico has this thing where black people get hired a little bit less than white skinned Puerto Ricans.
So what's behind the hatred for it, though?
The hatred for what?
Like he asked, what's with, you know, Latinos hating black people?
Oh, I honestly, I cannot tell you. Like in the States, I cannot tell you why that is.
Just regular racism, maybe.
I can tell you that a lot of it is really, really racist. Yeah. At least in the older generation, in my parents' generation.
Yeah.
And yeah, you will find it everywhere. But it's this subtle thing, right?
It's the subtle.
They
bullshit.
don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's usually not. You can't hang out with that guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's usually you know they are black, so you know.
Yeah.
They are gonna do that.
Yeah.
You know,
watch your
it's
wallet.
very subtle.
Watch your wallet.
It's very subtle. Or at least it used to be. I don't know how it is today because I've been living amongst the Hindus and the whites for so long.
The Hindus and the whites.
The Hindus, yeah, we have a large
Hindi community.
Hindi community.
Yeah, and Sikh.
And well, Sikh is not but Sikh is
Yeah.
Well,
no, I know. Yeah. I'm just saying, like
Some are particularly Sikh, yes.
Yeah. And oh my God, the crime and the horrible.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
It's not a fucking thing.
The white genocide is upon us.
Genocide is upon us, yes. But so yes.
Well, except for the Russian family that lives down the way.
Yes, yeah, and there's the thing. There always has been. In DR, there's a lot more, in the Dominican Republic, there's a lot more African ancestry, right?
That I know.
Haiti is a separate country on the same island, but there's a lot of intermarriage and interbreeding, and they did have a native population, also Taino, right, as opposed to the Carib Indians of other parts of the Caribbean.
Yeah, well, I think, look, racism isn't just a black-white thing.
No,
it's a
although
thing that
happens
happens
in the States is very Eurocentric.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is racism happens between all kinds of different groups.
Yes,
right.
Yes, it does.
And this isn't limited to white people on black or black on white. It's my God.
People tell me all the time, well, but that cop was black. Like, no, that cop was blue.
Yeah, black people can be racist too.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah,
Chinese people can be racist, and Korean people can be racist.
Who was it that said that shit today or yesterday?
That was Harris, actually.
Oh yeah, Sam Harris. Yeah. Oh my God, that dude is such a race realist.
Yeah. So this is from Lance, and he asked this to Zephyr, but I think this is an interesting question. What would you say is the most dangerous thing about white nationalists getting mainstream?
Zephyr. The fact that no one takes them seriously.
Well, Zephyr said the fact that it's becoming mainstream, but I agree with that, and I also agree with you that everyone still thinks it's a joke.
Yeah. And
they're not.
These people, let me tell you something, lefties listen.
Because I remember back in Germany, at some point, people weren't taking something seriously. And remind me again what that was.
What was it? Something about shopping.
Yeah,
I forget what exactly. Listen to me, lefties. These people are serious. I mean, you can laugh at them and make jokes about them because they are. A lot of them are inbred and fearful and childish and immature, and they're that, and that can be funny. But these are not people to be trifled with. Yeah. They're not. If you pretend they are, you are gonna run into a problem. And I've been saying this for years, and every time some shit jump off, I'm like, oh yeah, I said that last year. Yeah. And people are like, yeah, but no.
See, like, if I were younger, and by younger I mean like in my late teens, early 20s, I would probably go like down to the States or something and join some of these rallies or whatever.
But I got kids.
But I'm old now. I'm 41 and I've got kids. And so I'm going to leave that protesting to you younger whippersnappers. And I will be here cheering you on, and I will be in your corner, and I will do what I can.
As long as you send me all your money.
And I will do what I can on social media. But as for putting myself in that position,
I'm taking care of my people.
Yeah, I got to.
And my people consist of the 6 other people in this house at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So I really would the activist part in me, the old activist part of me. I know not in you, but I'm saying the old activist part in me is like, yeah, I would just love I'd get in their faces and shit. But
not if your ass is married to me back then.
But then I remember, yeah, I'm 41 and I got 5 kids and I'm a little tired.
Who's gonna make my sandwiches? Oh wait, you don't make them now anyway.
Yeah, shut up.
No, look, this thing that happened in Charlottesville. Look, in the 30s, this is what was going on in Germany. Clashes between bunches of people, some protesting, some not.
Yeah.
And sometimes there would be violence, like actual violence, and sometimes people would just be blustering about and talking shit. But this what was happening just before the beer hall push and just after Hitler became the what was it, the chancellor? Right? This is what was going on. This is what was going on.
Oh, thank you, Homero. He says you have a cute laugh, Willie. Thank you.
Some people
say it sounds like a dolphin, but
it's fine. You get used to it. It goes on you.
So yeah, I think this whole thing in Charlottesville is just it's sort of that line now that people are.
I hope that people on the left finally realize.
Yeah.
This is not a game. It's not a joke. It's not about convincing people. You can't convince these guys that they're wrong. You can't.
And I do want to do a video later alone. No offense.
Well, excuse me.
No offense. I'm going to do my own video.
Excuse me.
On confronting your own racism.
So long as you remember it's Tuesday.
Okay.
Shut up, it's Tuesday.
Shut up, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. All of you, shut up in the chat. Shut up, it's Tuesday.
All right, it's Tuesday. But yeah, I want to do a video on confronting your own racism and how that could be scary, and I get it.
But you're not a racist, so how would that be?
I'm not now.
You think you were back then?
Oh, I know I was back then. I just didn't acknowledge it.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's something I would.
I guess I got to write the book. I married a racist. A former racist.
No, because I didn't realize what I was saying and what I was doing was racist. Because growing up in white culture.
Okay, so you're not talking about.
No. I was not a hood wearing.
No.
Cross burning.
I figured you weren't. Let's make this distinction, white folks. Look, there's this thing that it's about your intention, right? Or lack of it, right? It's one thing to live in a white suburb, and there's the one black kid in your school.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. It's another thing entirely to be cognizant of what happens to colored people and what history shows us and all that kind of stuff. That's different. If you just don't know,
okay,
if you've never been exposed to it.
But that's why I want to make the video, because I think that a lot of these people like Sargon and shit like that, they're afraid to confront the fact that what they're saying and what they're doing is
like by
racist.
Definition what racism is.
It's racist, and they don't want to look into why. They don't want to confront anyone who says that they're being racist with the why. Show me where, show me how, and to learn from it. Because that is
part of the thing.
No, but let me just say from personal experience, that's a really hard thing to do. It's hard to then say to yourself, oh wow, I was being a real dick to people, and I was hurting people. And that is not an easy thing to acknowledge. And so that's why I want to make that video. I want to put it out there that, yeah, it's not easy, but once you do it, it really...
Wait, is this some kind of white guilt shit?
No, it's not white guilt shit.
Because I don't want people to think that it is.
No, I want people to learn that it's okay to admit when you're wrong. That's basically what it is. It's okay to admit when you're wrong. It's okay to admit when you fuck up.
No, it's not.
It's okay if you learn from it.
No, it's not.
Nah, fuck off.
No, it's not.
Fuck off.
No, really, it's not. If your entire identity is tied into that, man, you'd rather kill 10 people.
No, but that's my point. Maybe you should just admit that it's okay.
Maybe you should
let go a little bit. No.
Yeah, it's easier.
Oh.
I'm just saying it's easier. These guys would never do that. Are you shitting me? They're the ones that keep saying they got a black friend.
Yeah.
Like that somehow magically means you're not racist. But no, but be clear, white people. I don't hate you.
Yeah.
I don't really have it. I don't like racists, but not every white person is a racist. It's a myth that people on the left or this, or they keep calling everybody a racist. No. Lots of college students do because they're stupid.
And there is a difference between, I think, and let me sort of collect my thoughts on this one. There's a difference between being outwardly racist, like, calling someone a nigger or whatever, because you hate them, right? You hate them, so you know that is going to evoke whatever reaction it is in them.
Right.
You're trying to be intentionally harmful. Versus, say, like a 90-year-old person who back in the day used that
That's
word.
how you was raised.
That's how you was raised,
yeah,
and that word wasn't considered a bad word, so you still use it, but you're not cognizant of the present. Like my grandmother, when she said, I'm like, you don't say that now. That was back in the 90s, and I was like, you don't say that word. And she's like, what? Because she didn't know. She's like, completely oblivious to this shit. So I think there is a big difference there.
I am going to point this out. There is a double standard. There is. I'm sorry for the white folks that don't like this, but there is. Everything is not created equal. Even today, right? Even though it's becoming less so now. I say the word nigga all the time, and the thing is, I don't believe in any of the underlying bullshit that say someone like Sam Harris believes.
Yeah.
That it's okay to be afraid of a black guy in an elevator. I don't believe any of that shit. I just grew up like that. That's because I had black friends, and I grew up enjoying the hog jows and chitlins and stuff with my neighbors. Because I lived in a ghetto, right?
Chicken and waffles.
And some of my friends would come over, and they'd have like fried chicken and arroz con pollo, and beans and stuff. And we didn't see any difference between us.
Yeah.
At least not like our parents probably did. So I grew up like that. And yeah, I get to say those, not so much anymore, like I said, though I don't care.
Yeah.
Like people that object to it, I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit what.
Joe's never gonna be tone police, so
I'm never gonna. No, you're not gonna tone. No. I might decide to tone police me, but that's a separate issue. But yeah, if you're a white person, don't say nigga.
Yeah.
Don't say spick. Don't. You can say all sorts of other things. Why is it gotta be that?
Here's an interesting one for you though. What about someone like Cult of Dusty? He grew up in the ghetto, right? So
I think he's okay.
He grew up around, like, he described his childhood as basically he was the only white kid in that area.
Yeah.
Right? So when he says, nigga, that's because he grew up.
How he remembers it is like how I remember it.
Yeah. So when you say when you say white people, shouldn't or can't use that word. Well, what about those instance.
Yeah. He fits into that.
Okay,
he
but
fits
then,
into
but
that
then,
category that Chris Rock said.
Okay, so but
right?
then we
it's
we
December
can't.
23rd or
Yeah.
25th at 9:27. You know, then yeah. Although, like I said, it's becoming more and more of a taboo thing, and this is something that I agree with the guys on the right. PC culture is a bit of a bitch. It is a bit of a bitch, but you know, I mean, language evolves, and that's, you know, you gotta roll with it.
So when you say like white people, but then there's some exceptions.
Yeah, there always are exceptions.
Okay. No, I'm just asking because you know people are gonna be like, yeah, well,
I'm sorry, but these aren't hard and fast rules. And here, I'll tell you this though: people like Carl, you're gonna get gigged every time you say it, because you say it not only too much, if that's even a thing, but more importantly, you fucking mean it. You fucking mean to be hurtful. You mean to be a dick about it.
No,
you know.
No, Gifon. Sorry, Lance was asking Gifon a question, but I would like to ask this one to you. Where does the Nazi shit cross over from irony? When does it become too real to tolerate?
You mean time-wise? Now. I don't think that it, I don't
think he means just time-wise, like what they're doing.
No.
Someone, running your car into a pile of protesters, I would probably say.
Oh no, it's way past
that should be the line for some people. I mean, my line was like a long time ago.
Look,
but
here's the thing. Art has always been transgressive. Okay? Art has always been transgressive, right? And if that's what you're doing, then you got to face that backlash, right? The guy that did I forget what it's called. I think it was called like Piss Christ or something, that he peed into a like a transparent tub and put like a Virgin Mary in there or a cross or something. I don't know what the hell it was. Yeah, it was supposed to be this art installation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, do it if you want. You're not hurting anybody. Pee isn't going to kill people. You know, you could go buy a cross and, you know, whatever, fine, okay, yes. People are going to bitch.
Well, it's like that
so
lady.
Live with
it's like the lady, she was outside of a museum doing an art installation, and she was plopping balloons of paint out of her vagina onto like a canvas.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, okay, I guess that's your art. Yeah. And you can express yourself in that way since you're not hurting anybody. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I walk by and go, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Don't bitch at me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry. Look, women, y'all could wear what I mean. I don't know. Like, I'm not talking about the laws, right? I'm talking about y'all can wear what you want. I don't care. I'm not gonna rape you, but if your titties are hanging out, and we live in like Amish territory, I might be like, damn, bitch, look at them titties.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can touch them.
No, that doesn't mean I can touch them. No. Yeah. No, it does not. And it doesn't mean you're a whore. It doesn't mean you're a bitch. It doesn't mean you're a slut. It means you got your titties hanging out.
For me, it means you're pretty fucking comfortable with your body.
Well, yes, that probably too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, right? I mean, you know, feel free to do these things. Feel free to. I like the tech. I think it's kind of cool, actually.
It's very postmodern.
Like yes, it's very postmodern. I think it would be an awesome work of fiction. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there is. Maybe there is. I haven't checked. But if there were like if somebody sat down and wrote a fictional history of the nation of Kyrgyzstan, I would read it. Yeah. I would read it. Even if it were racist, even if it were, I would still read it. I think it would be an enjoyable exercise in art, in writing, in literature, right? But I might bitch at you.
Okay, so here's the conversation that's going on about that Nazi shit crossing over from irony to reality, right? When does it become too real to tolerate? Gifon says, how would one person answer that? It's a pretty amorphous question. And then
yes, it is.
And then Lance comes back and says, Gifon, when someone throws up a Nazi salute, how do you know they're just doing it for the kecks? And Gifon comes back and says, well, what if they're serious? So what? How does that harm anyone's person or property?
Well, it doesn't actually have to harm a person's person or property. Think about what you're saying, because really, if I say
Carl's a pedophile. I haven't harmed Carl. He's not, by the way. I'm just saying as an example.
No, this is an example.
Just a really a purposefully egregious example. I haven't harmed him. That word hasn't harmed him. A lot of people won't believe that. But he would have the right to sue me for a word.
Yeah.
So, as far as I'm concerned, and this is my position on it, I assume that you're for real.
Zephyr says it's the ramifications of such a motion.
Ah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's what's going to happen or what's likely to happen. Because Carl could never possibly prove that my statement hurt his bottom line.
Right.
He couldn't prove it. He would have to, if he took me to court, he would have to go with punitive damages. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Right? A punishment for insulting him or a punishment for libeling him.
Right.
But there would be a punishment.
Now, if we're talking about the Nazi salute, right, the ramifications of such a motion.
In Germany, it would be going to jail.
Yeah.
In the States, it would be people would look at you a little bit weird.
And maybe hit you in the
face.
And
maybe hit you in the face or with a bike lock or something.
Yeah, and here, depending on how it's done, you could end up in court for inciting hate. So yeah, I mean, it really depends on where you are.
Look, if you're in the States and you want to say, you want to be a part of the nation of Kyrgyzstan and talk all that shit, go ahead. The law lets you, right? I'm all for the law. I like the law. It's not always just. It's not always fair. Yeah. It's usually not.
Now,
but that's what we got.
Now, Lance comes back and says, Gifon, Nazi salutes in public are a sign of white nationalist emboldening. And I agree. I agree with that.
I would agree, yes.
Yeah.
And even if it wasn't, I would assume that it was.
Now here's an interesting thing. Another sign of white nationalist emboldening is hate crimes. Hate crimes and Nazi salutes are two symptoms of the same problem.
Yeah. People are becoming more and more, not becoming, but allowing themselves in public to demonstrate that they are not very civilized.
See, and it's not just a Nazi salute, right?
It's the Roman salute too. I'm joking.
It starts, right? You start seeing.
Look,
how do I even explain this? It's like a rock that starts rolling down a hill. It gathers speed as it goes, and you've got the Nazi salutes, and that's having them feel emboldened and maybe go a little further, and then you get a car plowing into protesters, right? So I mean, and where does this end?
Well, the thing of it is it's easy to understand because you're not talking about a law, right? So many people tell me that the law, well, if you start making laws against this speech, then where would it all end? With that law. That's where it would end.
Yeah.
However, when you're talking about an ideology that isn't constrained by being written down, right? A law is written down. It's ratified, it's passed, it's voted on, it's examined, it's right. People crawl up the law, they dot all the I's and cross all the T's.
Yeah.
Right. Then it becomes essentially set in stone until some new law, right? But ideology is different though. That does present a slippery slope. Yeah. That does present a slippery slope, and you can see it in. If you're active online and you have been for the past decade, you can see it in the radicalization of lots of feminists, right? And what they're willing to say in public. It used to be, right? There's even an article about a woman who's a feminist who was dressing her boy up like a little girl and raising him as a little girl.
Yeah.
And in that article, she says, I like something to the effect of, I wouldn't have said this years ago, but now I feel I can or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And you see it. Carl was not a complete retard. He wasn't bright, but he stuck to, less controversial subjects and was more effective in terms of actual arguments instead of pandering. But you have seen him over the course of the past 5 years or so become more radical.
Yeah.
The same thing with, like I said, some of the feminists.
Yeah.
Right? You can see this happening. Why is it that we can acknowledge
you see
that,
you see it in MRAs a lot. You see
yes,
it in MGTOWs. You see it in groups.
Well,
right?
in
general.
Why can we acknowledge? A lot of these guys can acknowledge that Islamic terrorism, that people who are Islamic, right, Muslims, go online and they find these websites
and they get radicalized.
Well, you're no different. You're no different, and I guard against that as much as I can.
Yeah. We
have to guard against that all the time, right? Like the thing with Chrisiosity that I had. Hi, Chrisiosity. I don't hate you. I think you're a nice person, but she wanted me to not say that word, which I'm happy not to say around her. She doesn't want me to.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna use it when I'm gonna use it. Otherwise.
Yeah.
Right? I can't let myself be drawn too far in.
Yeah.
Right? Just because I recognize that feminists don't want to kill me and are actually pretty nice people.
Now, Gifon came back to Lance and says, okay, the white nationalists are emboldened. So what? You want to arrest them? No, I don't think you should be arresting people if they haven't committed a crime. Right? I mean,
I would say that it should be criminal to advocate in a democracy, in a democratic republic, in somewhere like the United States, or maybe in somewhere like in England, in Australia, in Canada. It should be against the law to advocate for abolishing the government by force.
Yeah.
Right?
I really unless they commit a crime, what are you gonna arrest them for? You know, it's.
Well, it would depend, right? If you say mean shit to people, no arrest. No. If you say go kill this person,
well, no, but that's an incitement. But what I'm saying is, if all they're doing is Nazi salutes, I don't know, arrest them for that? No, I don't think so.
I don't know. It's a tough question.
But then I would have to think on it a bit more because maybe there's more to it. I don't know. But right now, at this present moment, I'll say no. Don't arrest them for that. But I don't think that Gifon is an apologist for Nazis. I don't.
No, I don't think so either.
No, at all.
No.
I just disagree on some of his points. That's all. But I'm not. I
don't
hate you, Gifon, and I don't think you're an apologist for.
I'm pretty clear on what an apologist is, or what a water carrier, if you will, what that is. And he's not one. And lots of people I disagree with aren't that either. Right? Yeah. But the famous YouTubers, a lot of them are. Look, when Roaming Millennial gives that softball interview, you're an apologist.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a raging Nazi and shit. You're an apologist for the people who are that bad. And the same thing with Carl, and the same thing with so many of the other ones.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm way too drunk to be an effective apologist, Gifon says.
Well, that's not a bad reason, I suppose. I wish I could drink more.
Oh, God.
I wish I could drink.
You wish pot was legal already.
When pot becomes legal, I'm getting so high, I may enter orbit.
This time next summer, you'll be able to get as high as a kite. So, yeah.
Much higher than that.
But yeah,
much higher.
So I think we've
exhausted Charlottesville.
Yeah,
I'll keep an eye on it. I will be putting
in all honesty, there's not much to talk about. I think it's pretty straightforward. You know, a bunch of
the signature event was that guy running into people.
Yeah,
driving into them.
And I can't believe, I'm gonna say it again. I can't believe it's 2017 and we have to oppose Nazis again. It's amazing.
Yeah, 50 years ago, punching a Nazi was not a controversial fucking issue.
Yeah.
Okay? And I blame you, all-T water carriers.
Yeah.
I blame you motherfuckers for that shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, as far as I'm concerned, it's okay to punch a Nazi. And if they got, and if there's open warfare, well, then there's open warfare. The rules for that.
My grandfather would be rolling in his grave if he knew about this. I mean, unbelievable.
What I found unbelievable was how blatantly racist Sam Harris has become.
Oh my God!
It's intuitive that you should be afraid of black people on an elevator.
Oh my God.
And
if something happens to you and you get on that elevator, it's your fault.
You didn't listen to your intuition.
You should have known that black dude was going to fuck you up. Oh my God.
That was so amazing. Even I was amazed. And I'm proud of the fact that most things can't amaze me.
And then he went into the black friend thing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But we're gonna do a stream on that.
Yeah, we're gonna do. Yeah.
I want to listen to the whole thing all the way through because there's just so much more. Like I've listened.
Yeah, and for those of you tempted to tell me, well, what was the context? There is no fucking context within which it is not racist to say what Sam Harris said.
Yeah, I know.
There is no fucking context.
This one didn't need any fucking context.
There is no context within which it's okay to say what he said, unless you're a race realist, which Sam Harris clearly has become.
Oh my God. I mean, I nearly fell out of my chair when I heard him say those things. I was like, oh my God, dude.
I was trying hard.
Have you been hit in the head recently?
I was trying so hard to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I know, but.
And be like, no. He just means generally or whatever.
No.
You know.
At first, I was like, no, really? And I had to go, like, rewind.
Like, the Charles Murray interview was pretty bad.
Like, no, but I had to go back and listen again. And then, wait, maybe I'm missing. Go back and listen again.
Maybe I missed something. Yeah, I had to listen to it
Please let there be something I'm missing because someone cannot possibly be this stupid. You know?
But no, he's like, well, I don't need to be respected in the academic community anymore. Fuck it.
How to torpedo your career in 2 easy steps.
Oh my God. Well, maybe he sees the Jordan Peterson. No,
yeah.
Let me tell you, it's my suspicion, and only a suspicion, that Jordan Peterson is being financed.
By Soros?
Yeah, probably by Soros. 50 grand a month is a lot of, more than that now.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. I mean, Carl's
compared to how many actual patrons he has.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
A lot of money.
I mean, and look, Carl's been at this for years.
Yeah, and he makes what?
Maybe $6 grand? Six or 7 grand or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so I find that a bit, and the same with Ruben.
Oh yeah,
the
Dave Rubin, yeah.
The amount of money he makes per month versus how many patrons he actually has, I find that really suspicious.
Yeah. Lance says Sam is AIU's hero last night. Oh, well, that should tell you a lot.
Yeah,
that should tell you.
There you go.
Yep. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And remember, right? Visit acadiantimes.com. Download the app.
Ding.
Yeah, download the app. I'm quite happy with it.
All the links in the description when we're
done. No, you're gonna do that.
Oh, for fuck's
Well, you won't make me sandwiches. You might as well do this.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Jesus Christ. It's her fault if it doesn't happen.
Giffon says in Swindon, that's real money.
In Swindon, that's In Swindon, that's yes. In Swindon, it is. It gets you a lot of massages.
I was just going to say that. It's enough to get you a couple of massages.
It gets you some good massages.
Yeah. But he refuses to pay for porn. How cheap is this man?
Yeah, dumb people work, man. That shit is
these girls are working.
Well, the guys work too.
Yeah, I know, but
you're getting that shit for free, man. Come on, pony up.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Pony up. You got some money.
Cheap thing, you.
So yeah, visit the website, download the app, follow us on Facebook, on Tumblr, Twitter. Right? Send me all your monies.
Yeah.
Don't send me your kids though. I don't want your kids.
Yeah, we got enough of those.
We got enough of those. Yes. We have our own collection. Thank you.
If you have a pony, you can send a pony.
I don't want a fucking pony.
I'd like to have a pony.
No. I'm not having a fucking pony. No. Where the fuck are we gonna put a pony?
If anyone's got a pony, you can send it to.
Where the fuck are we gonna put a pony?
In the backyard.
No.
A miniature pony.
No, nothing miniature. Midgets are evil. Midgets are evil. They have no souls. They do magic.
Send me pony.
You can't trust them. And they have those pudgy little fingers, those scary ass little sausagey fingers.
Or if anyone has a giant rabbit.
Oh. No giant rabbit. However, I am.
Oh, George Dorsey, fuck you. He says I'm sending a panda suit.
I actually was about to say, hey, George, what's up? I was about to say,
You bastard!
In the near future, I am going to do a fundraiser for a panda suit.
Well, apparently George is sending you one now.
And no, don't send me the whole thing. I want to, I want to get people's money.
And Zephyr's sending you one too. And emotional.
What the hell am I gonna do with 2 of them?
Emotional.
Oh, y'all want video? Now we can't put those on YouTube.
I'm not a furry. Right?
But we can't put those on YouTube even if we were furries.
And Emotionally Investable says, send tiny goats.
Tiny goats?
Tiny goats, yes, tiny goats. I'll take tiny goats.
No! No, I don't want animals. That's Millennial Woes. You're talking to the wrong guy.
No.
Millennial Woes likes goats. Probably a little too much.
Send me a platypus.
Oh, wait, is it goats
I want a platypus.
Sheep.
I want a pony, some tiny goats, and
no
a
fucking
platypus.
No fucking platypus. Definitely not a platypus.
Pygmy goats.
No! I am going to do a fundraiser for a panda suit, though.
Gefan wants to know if you're coming out of the furry closet.
No, I'm not particularly a furry. I don't know. I don't think I would.
There shall be no yiffing.
Yeah, no, I don't think. You know what? Like I'm in my 40s. Okay. I want sex to be as easy as possible. I don't want to make it more difficult.
Yeah, imagine in a panda suit.
Imagine no, that's too sweaty. That's too hot. No.
Not to mention, I don't think I want to.
I like my rocking chair.
I don't think I want to fuck a big fuzzy panda. Really.
Yeah, no. I like my rocking chair. I like comfort. Comfort is good.
Comfort is good.
The only reason that I want a panda suit is so that I can put it on and go outside and
and get arrested
and snatch candy from babies and push people into traffic.
He wants to push the old neighbors over and scare the children.
Yeah. Set stuff on fire.
In other words, get arrested.
No.
Yeah, you're gonna.
No, not gonna get arrested. No, it's not gonna happen.
Because you're both black and white, so they don't know what to do. Oh God.
And it's not like in the States. In the States, when they don't know what to do, they beat you. Here, they just stand around looking befuddled.
I know.
Cops are Cops here are awesome.
They just
stand around.
What do we do? I don't know.
What are we supposed to do?
Should we tell the police? Do you remember that video from Alberta? Okay, there's this guy. People in the States are gonna be amazed. There was this guy in Alberta who was high on something. He looked like he was high on meth or something, and he was wielding a hatchet.
Oh yeah! And the 2 cops were trying to talk his ass down.
No. And he was running at the cops with the hatchet and swinging it, and then he would run back to his truck, and at one point he threw the hatchet at the cops, and the cops were on the megaphone going, "Sir, could you please calm down? Could you please put the weapon down? Could you please?" And it was please.
In New York, he'd have got his ass shot to death.
And then the dude ran right by them and took off down the street, and the cops were still standing there going, what do we do now?
Should we chase him? Yeah. Well, in New York, he would have got his ass shot 30, 40 times.
He would have been dead, on the spot. But not in Canada. Sir, could you please put down the weapon?
Canadians are
Could
nice.
you please?
Sometimes to a fault. Okay, God. So yes. Oh, and I am putting up tonight or tomorrow morning, probably, the Baked Alaska shirt. Milktown. Milktown. And we will keep an eye on this thing. And we might have to talk about it depends on what we find out about the guy.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna wait a couple of days.
Yeah, that's more days to find out about the guy. Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna do a Carl and say
And I got to work on the Sam Harris stuff. So yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
So like I said, the website, download the app. Read the articles. I go through a lot of articles for you people.
Articles, schmarticles.
Yeah. Hit those articles.
Yeah, go see the one about the hedgehog trapped in a croissant.
It's got nothing to do with Lawrence Southern. Oh, I wanted to mention the Sea Star thing.
Yeah, but let's do that in another.
Yeah, we'll do that next time.
Yeah. All right. So thanks for all you crazy people listening. I don't know why you listen to us. Really, I don't. But thank you anyways. Yes. And you got to go to Chrome, dear.
Oh, my God, yes. Why am I doing this again?
Because you're working in 2 browsers, which you shouldn't.
Is that my fault or someone else's? I'm blaming you.
Blame YouTube.
I'm blaming you.
Blame YouTube.
by the way, Cult of Dusty, and this just popped up on my notifications. The Month in Religious Bullshit, July 2017, Part 2 is out. If you guys want to go watch that. I sometimes enjoy his content. I think he's a pretty decent guy.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree on him.
Yeah, on a number of things. Yeah.
I don't think he means any harm or anything.
No, I don't think he's a bad guy.
No, I don't either. So yeah, there was that.
There was that, yes.
Yes, and now, like, after all this talking and laughing and stuff, I like need to go make more tea because my throat feels like I swallowed sandpaper. So
we're gonna sign off then.
We're gonna sign off.
You look like you're drunk when you say
woohoo. Gefon's been like slipping me drinks apparently over here. So.
Oh, is that right? You know that's not how the internet works, right?
Shut up. Go with it.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Believe me.
Okay. You know, I'll listen and believe for now.
You should. I'm a woman.
Oh, yeah. Is that how that works?
Yes, it does.
I see.
God damn it.
Alrighty. So say goodnight, dear. Ha! I beat you to it.
Ah, goddamn.
Say goodnight, dear.
Good night, dear.